a loving and devoted father, you might want to help him because his life has been absolutely crushed, hasn't it?
Has it been crushed, or has it been crushed over these emails? Now, when it comes to these emails have been sat on someone's desk for 14 years. And I'm a little bit suspicious about why now. But I don't believe there was anybody in the royal family that didn't know what Andrew Windsor was. And yeah, sorry.
Okay, so you're saying that you would just, that would be it, that would be the line, and that would be the end. Okay, yeah, Ruth, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Let's move on to Graham.
Ruth from Lincolnshire just ended. Vanessa Feltz, live on air, and exposed the rotten truth the royals fear most. It happened in seconds, but it was the kind of truth that leaves smoke in the air long after the microphones are cut. On Vanessa Feltz's live show, where royal sympathisers usually prattle in circles about tradition, duty, and how unfair Meghan is, something rare and unscripted happened. Ruth from Lincolnshire called in. Her voice was steady, ordinary, polite, the kind of voice that Britain's radio stations love to underestimate. But her words, they were dynamite wrapped in reason. That one sentence changed the entire energy of the studio. Because the moment Ruth spoke, every listener knew this wasn't your typical royal chatter about charity work and balcony appearances. No. Ruth was going for the truth, and she was fearless about it. The silence that followed was so loud you could hear the studio's fake politeness collapsing. Vanessa Feltz, the self-anointed guardian of royal decency, suddenly lost her usual poise. Gone was the host who could talk for hours about Meghan's nail polish or Harry's memoir. In that single moment, Vanessa realised Ruth wasn't attacking Andrew. She was accusing the entire House of Windsor of complicity. And that's when panic set in. Vanessa tried to do what royal defenders always do, control the narrative. You could almost hear her clutching her pearls through the microphone as she tried to redirect the conversation, to soften Ruth's words, to make her sound like just another conspiracy caller. But Ruth wasn't having it. She had already spoken the truth. And once the truth hits airwaves, it can't be unsaid. You could feel it. The unease, the stammer, the rush to end the call before it spiraled into something too raw, too real, too damaging to the royal myth. Because what Ruth did, live on Vanessa's show, was something few have dared to do. She connected the dots. She said what millions think but are too scared to voice. That the royal family didn't just ignore Andrew Windsor's scandal, they protected him. And Vanessa? Instead of listening, she did what palace defenders always do when faced with uncomfortable facts. She cut Ruth off. You could almost picture the producer waving wildly behind the glass, whispering, end it, before she names names. And so just like that, Vanessa's voice, once so confident, so commanding, turned small and nervous. She hurriedly changed the subject, her tone brittle, like someone who just realised the walls of their illusion are cracking. But it was too late. Ruth had already detonated her truth bomb, and every listener knew it. Let's be clear. Vanessa Feltz wasn't just hosting a talk show that day. She was performing royal damage control. She's the kind of broadcaster who can spend an hour dissecting Meghan's posture, but when someone questions Prince Andrew, suddenly it's, oh, we're out of time. Convenient, isn't it? Ruth's words made Vanessa's loyalty look laughable, because while Vanessa tried to play the respectful broadcaster, her bias was blinding. When Ruth called out Andrew Windsor, she wasn't just calling out one disgraced prince. She was calling out a system built on privilege, silence, and hypocrisy. And Vanessa's reaction exposed everything: the flustered tone, the nervous laugh, the abrupt goodbye. It was like watching the royal PR machine panic in real time. What made Ruth's statement so devastating wasn't just her accusation. It was her certainty. She didn't sound like someone with a theory. She sounded like someone who had simply stopped believing the fairy tale. Her voice carried the exhaustion of every ordinary Brit who's been lectured for years about respecting the crown, while watching the same crown shield its own. When she said, "I don't believe there's anybody in the royal family that didn't know what Andrew Windsor was," she wasn't being dramatic, she was being honest. And honesty, in a kingdom built on illusion, is the ultimate rebellion. You see, Ruth didn't just challenge Prince Andrew, she humiliated the entire royalist establishment right there on Vanessa's airwaves. Because in that short exchange, she showed that ordinary people are no longer scared to ask the questions that palace aides dodge, that tabloids spin, and that hosts like Vanessa avoid like the plague. And the irony? Vanessa could have had a powerful conversation. She could have asked follow-ups, discussed accountability, or even listened. But she didn't. She retreated. She ran. She did what the monarchy itself has always done when truth knocks at the door. She hid behind decorum. Ruth's words echoed through social media like wildfire. Clips of the exchange spread online, with commenters writing things like, "Ruth said what everyone's thinking." Vanessa couldn't handle the truth. Protect this woman at all costs. She just destroyed the royal PR bubble. Because while Vanessa was trying to keep her show tidy, Ruth was shaking the very walls of the monarchy's carefully protected image. The call may have been short, but the impact, monumental. People finally saw, in real time, how uncomfortable the British media becomes when anyone points the finger not just at Andrew, but at those who enabled him. Let's remember who we're talking about here. Prince Andrew Windsor, a man stripped of titles after his disgraceful ties to Jeffrey Epstein. A man who hid behind palace walls while victims fought for justice. And a royal family that has, time and again, tiptoed around the scandal, issuing carefully worded statements and hoping the world forgets. Vanessa Feltz wanted her show to be a safe space for royal apologists. Ruth turned it into a courtroom of truth. That's the beauty of what happened. It wasn't polished, it wasn't pre-approved, and it certainly wasn't flattering to the monarchy. Ruth, with no PR team and no royal title, did what billion-dollar institutions and news networks won't. She named the rot. Vanessa's mistake was thinking she could silence it, but every listener could hear the fear in her tone. Every listener could hear that Ruth had struck a nerve. When you're defending the indefensible, truth becomes your biggest threat. And Ruth brought it live, raw, and unapologetic. What Ruth exposed goes far beyond Vanessa's studio. She revealed the deeper sickness in British media, the reflex to protect the crown at all costs, even when it means silencing victims and shutting down truth-tellers. Ruth represented every citizen who's tired of being told to move on, while the royal family pretends amnesia about its scandals. She represented the people who see through the hypocrisy, how Harry and Meghan were exiled for telling their story, yet Andrew still enjoys quiet protection behind palace gates. Vanessa couldn't debate that. She couldn't argue. Because deep down, she knew Ruth was right. In that sense, Ruth Lincolnshire didn't just humiliate Vanessa Feltz, she exposed an entire ecosystem of royal denial. Her calm truth shattered the polite fiction that keeps Britain's upper class comfortable, and perhaps the funniest part. Vanessa thought ending the call would end the conversation. Instead, it amplified it. Now the whole country is talking about Ruth. Her name is trending. Her quote is being shared as the line that finally said what no broadcaster dared to. Vanessa wanted control. Ruth gave the people power. And when truth meets performance, truth always wins. In that moment, Ruth became what the monarchy dreads most, an unfiltered voice of reason. Someone without status, wealth, or press handlers, who simply refuses to be lied to anymore. She didn't need royal access or a fancy microphone. She just needed courage and a phone line. So yes, bravo for Ruth. Bravo for the woman from Lincolnshire who spoke for millions and made a royalist host squirm live on air. Bravo for the truth that no longer fits inside the Buckingham script. Because no matter how Vanessa tried to steer, spin, or silence, Ruth's words still ring louder than the show itself. That's not suspicion anymore. That's awakening. And Britain heard it loud and clear. Ruth won that day. Vanessa lost her composure, her control, and perhaps a little credibility. The monarchy lost a layer of protection. And the people? They gained another reason to stop bowing to lies. When history looks back, this won't just be a funny radio moment. It will be remembered as one of those quiet revolutions that start with one woman's voice and end up shaking the system. Ruth didn't need the Crown's permission to speak. She only needed the truth. And that, it turns out, is more powerful than any royal title. Bravo, Ruth, Lincolnshire. You didn't just call Vanessa Feltz's show, you called the monarchy's bluff. And the whole of Britain is still applauding.
The submission itself sounds nice. And to my amazing and peculiar Sussex family, thank you all for watching our videos and tuning in to Daily Diaries Friday's update. Keep it light, keep it there, and see you next time in our next episode. Bye bye. May you have a good day and a good time. Keep shining. Bye bye.